Welcome to James Hates Everything. Tonight should be a fun one. We're talking about a debate that was sparked by Michael B on couple streams ago, about 10 days ago, and led up to an interesting week of conversation across the interwebs. So if he ever wakes up from his P-dubs nap, he'll join us and we're going to talk about the arcade eras. Alrighty, before we get started tonight, I wanted to take a few housekeeping things out of the way right up front. First, I want to thank everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. Just a reminder, smash the like button. If you're new here and you like what you see, click subscribe. You know what to do. But we do have another one of our fun little super chat goals going tonight, and it should be a doozy one. We are talking about sloppy seconds, a new segment we premiered last week. And if we hit our super chat goal tonight during sloppy seconds, we will feed the trolls. And trust me, you do not want to miss that one. So hopefully we will hit that goal throughout the next hour or so. But before we do, I want to say hi to everybody in the chat, those who showed up early, those who are here with us live tonight. And we have Mike here, so I'll just throw him right on as we're going. So I want to say hi to Vic Vicious. Thanks for dropping by. And we have John Fritz, Paul Mindeman, who thinks there's a conspiracy about. We have Tim York, Dr. Torque, as he's known, Mike Mick, the Penny Arcade, Calvin Wong, Retro Alert Gaming, stopped by earlier today. We have JJ, we have MG, Sir Sega, who so far has the comment of the night. Says it's just like when you see the picture on the burger menu, it looks very pleasing to the eye, then you get the burger and it looks nothing like the photo. The Cornercade is here. We have Mike Hawkhurst, Thumper Squid, of course, Jason Little Alien, Joysticks, Stock Jock, Jason S, Gramps Arcade, Ronald Lawrence, Biggie D, R Burger, speaking of burgers, Galaga Guy 88, Rob Cat. Did I say Stock Jock? I may have said Stock Jock already, but Bobby ALU, Sergeant Giratina, Chris North by Northwest. We have Console Kits, who's been a member for 8 months. Thank you, sir. The Real Zim. And I think that got us caught up. So how are you doing tonight, Mike?
I'm pretty good, man. I apologize for being a couple minutes late. I get nighttime showers because Bcon got really mad at me and told me that I have to shower before going to bed. And I'd like to tell B that that's the reason I do it. But the truth of the matter is everything is such a chaos scene in my house that's the only time I actually get to shower. That's awesome that Justin's been a member for 8 months. Justin, who we all know, left the community. I mean, it's great to see that he's still following you, watching what you're doing. I mean, mainly watching pinball stuff now. So, yeah, very cool. Thanks for being here, Justin. And Zim, get in there, Zim. Zim, one of my favorite people in the community.
Absolutely. We also got Mike Hawkhurst, who's also been a member for 8 months. Thank you much. And it says here, Jason is a new member. So thanks everybody for doing all that. I really appreciate it. As a reminder, we'll feed the trolls tonight if we hit that super chat goal. So that should be
will
pretty
we
fun.
Ever?
So I thought, like we said, I started the show off telling everybody, obviously, you conducted a poll about 10 days ago that seemed to have kicked off a whole flurry of discussions. So, I came prepared with the slides. So I wanted to take a quick look at those. So there's your stream. So can
Yeah.
you tell us all kind of what went down with the poll in question?
So basically, the concept of the stream was, John D from Media One Up and working on the iconic stuff had made a statement either through the Reddit Neo Hyper 64, or I can't remember where it came from, or one of the shows where somebody said something, and he obviously the focus for iconic is that it does have the more powerful chip, so they talked about doing these more powerful games, and like more powerful games equates to kind of like mid to late 90s arcades. So I've always been an advocate that I thought arcade one up focused a little bit too much in the 90s. I even did a video one time where I put Goat Boy, for God's sakes, in the thumbnail saying, hey, remember the 80s? Because I've always been an advocate that I want to see more 80s golden age arcades out there. So I wanted to cover this, that this is Iconic's focus, and not really shit on what Iconic was doing, because I think that as long as we get new games, it's great. And there's going to be people that want 90s arcades, but I just want people to be clear. I don't know if Iconic is the company that's, going to deliver that for us. I don't think that's their modus operandi, but I wanted to ask people what they thought, what they would want to see. And it was heavily, that people wanted to see games specifically from what I call, and this is mainly my nostalgia, that specific era of, like the early 80s all the way up until about 94. That seems to be the great spot for, arcade love. Like you go through the golden age all the way to resurgence. And then when you hit the mid 90s, it gets into the decline part of it, right? So it seemed like that seemed to be the focus. But at the same time, I was willing to admit, even in the poll I put up there, I was saying, like, we're talking games like Star Wars Trilogy. We're talking games like House of the Dead. We're talking games like Daytona USA. I can certainly see why people would want later 90s games as well. So I may be setting myself up to lose, but still, like that, 80s to 94 demographic came in huge on my stream. That's what the majority of people seem to want.
Yeah, and obviously watching your stream, like that's where I think most people would vote, right? Like that's the at least looking back on it, people, our age, my age, like that was the arcade era, right? The UK early 80s, some people a little older may have started in the 70s up through like basically that mid 90s era. That was arcades. After about mid 90s, like, arcades were pretty much on the way out. That's when all the consoles came in, all that fun stuff. And so it was
See,
interesting.
I'm gonna, Paul. I'm gonna be very clear. See, this is the disconnect that I'm having with this situation with these
Yeah.
polls and stuff like that, because I think John has really good plans for Iconic. I think he's going to deliver really good stuff, but you can't say it's going to be for the fans if you then try to, you know, push that the fans want specific games. Like I do think some of these are definitely fan demanded, but we're going to get into that tonight. Like, if John just came out and said, I got a bunch of games that I think would be fucking awesome for the community, I'm going to make them, I'd be like, cool. But when you come out and you say, I'm making the games the fans want, and then the fans are like, we want 80s games. And then you're like, yeah, but you know what's cool? 90s.
Yeah, and it's great that Paul, jumped in because it's the perfect segue, right? So, um, there we go. So Paul obviously took exception
No, I don't
to
think he took exception, but I said,
yeah,
my data point is obviously going to be skewed from the people watching me. Probably have the same opinion. I don't think he took exception at all. I think what he did was the exact same thing I said. I said, everybody do your own polls, give some more data points, get some
right.
more information, see what people wanted. So I wouldn't say he took exception, but he did his own poll like I asked people to do.
Yeah, when I say he took exception, I don't mean he was offended. He believes that your poll was too broad, right? That by saying
Yeah.
80s and 90s, it wasn't narrow enough. So he takes a stab at it with his own poll on Reddit and then posts the results to Super Game Room dudes, right?
Yeah.
So here everybody can see you have what 25% of respondents, or maybe that's exact numbers. So yeah, so that's 25 votes when in the golden era, that late 70s to 83, which I think everybody pretty much agrees with, as far as being an official era. And then they've got the decline and recovery going from 84 to 90. And you only have 13 votes in there, which to me is a bit interesting. And then you have um, 80 votes, so the vast majority coming in at this resurgence era. And so this is where I found difficulty with Paul's poll. So it was the idea that basically the entire 90s is kind of one big group, and there's some
Not at all.
right, and there's in there a mixture of different kinds of games, right? From Street Fighter 2 to MK2, which are very much your 16-bit 2D graphics kind of fighters, to DDR, to Daytona. So very huge titles for the era, and some of the more sought after ones. So I felt like, first of all, I kind of disagree that this resurgence era is one giant decade, all falls in there, because I think there's, similar to what you think, I think there's a very clear shift in that mid 90s era. And the other thing, I just thought, the way the poll was presented, it was primed to basically have people vote in a particular era. And so that's I so that spurred me into doing my own poll, right?
Yes.
And so that led to this poll, which, by the way, thanks everybody who voted, because it's one of the larger amounts of results on a poll I've got. And so what I did is I said, well, what are kind of the real, if we go back and look at it, and I based my eras not on what other people have said. I did research, I Googled around, I found a whole different sets all over the place. I saw some that align with similar to what Neo had in there, but not exactly. I saw some that were based completely on the style of games. So like single screen level games versus side scrolling games versus fighting games, like this, all these, there was many ways that people are slicing and dicing the eras. And so I just said, well, let's look at it through technology, right? Because to me, that really represented the shift. So you had the basic technology of the Atari early 8-bit color games, stuff like that, that are similar to the single screen games, all that jazz. And that really culminated in 83, that with the crash, right? And that's when the technology began to shift. We got into 16-bit, much better graphics. We started getting into longer games, the side-scrolling stuff, like off the top of my head, I don't know, things like Strider and beat 'em ups at the later stage, just all kinds of more in-depth games than what we had in the late 70s, early 80s. And then, of course, you have the mid 90s, which is when all the 3D technology began taking over. And that's where you got titles like Tekken and Time Crisis and Hydro Thunder and Daytona. Like great games. It's not a knock on those games, but it was that era when I felt like that was a clear shift, that people began moving away from the arcades for a variety of reasons. I hypothesize it's a combination of 3D technology on consoles like the PlayStation, the Dreamcast, like N64. Those began coming out in the 95, 96 era. And so you could play virtually the same games at home. And at the same time, the technology around those 3D games got so expensive that just to play those arcade games became really expensive. Instead of a quarter or 50 cents, if you wanted to play Tekken, it was like $1, right? You're playing $1 every time you die. And so, that again drove people away, in my opinion. So that's how I divided them. And I felt like for me, that was a more fair comparison over where people are. And then you can see again the difference in the results line more up with what your results were when you combine the 80s and 90s, or the 80s and the mid 80s, the 90s. We're in that time frame where 13-14% are the late 90s and beyond, and everybody else is below that. And so I thought that was interesting that it very much lined up with your results, even though I sliced and diced it a bit different or a little more detailed. But so any thoughts at that, where we are now? Because then I'll transition into what happens next in a minute.
So this might be out of sequence from what you want to do, but I will throw this out there. The problem I have with a lot of this stuff, I'm sure you work in the not-for-profit sector like I do. A lot of times you go into strategic planning sessions. And I have a big problem with these strategic planning sessions because I find, is my audio okay? I'm worried that I'm getting some
you sound
feedback.
great.
Okay. So these strategic planning sessions are total bullshit because what actually happens is somebody goes in there with a directive on what they want to do. So they basically sabotage the entire strategic planning session, especially if they're leading it. That, it's going to lead with no other path but getting the result they wanted in the first place. And I feel like, I'm going to be honest with my poll. My poll might have been a little bit biased because I did no research on the errors or anything like that. And I did it based on, my gut, my thought process, what I wanted to do. So maybe mine had a little bit of that confirmation bias in there where it was kind of leading people to vote because mine was so big. It was like 80 to 94. That's a long period of time, but for me that's the most important and exciting era for the arcades. Paul's, on the other hand, I think Paul obviously, he built a Soul Calibur XL arcade one up. Paul obviously has like a lot of love for the 90s into the late 90s. So I'm sure he did his research, but at the same time, what I would argue is that there's a huge bias that gets in there when you lump in the entire 90s. Me and John actually had this kind of conversation debate on Facebook as well. And even John was coming back and he was like, yeah, the later 90s was garbage. So, and John was like nothing came out after 95. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I'm saying. Like how I separate the 90s, because I would do it two ways, is I would do 90 to 94, which is a 5-year period compared to 95 to 99, which is another 5-year period. And if you look at the bulk of like the real important games that change things, they came out in the first part of the 90s. So like for me, saying that like Paul's poll with all the 90s might be a bit misleading. So I threw a poll up on my own channel, which part of the 90s, but you got to remember there are some really killer games that I know people would want to see that I think would be successful titles from any company. I'm going to be very honest about this. These could be money makers. These could be exciting. That came out in the late 90s. So people are going to vote for them. And we have got a healthy dose of that early 90s already from Arcade 1-Up. So there might not be some interest. So really what I feel here is that I think John has a plan. I think John wants to do a bunch of arcades, but it seems like he wants to do them, but he also wants it to be, this is what the community wants, right? So he's trying to get that same confirmation bias that I talked about going through the strategic planning session, where he wants to convince you these are the ones you want. You know what I mean? These are the ones you're asking for. And like, I'm not shitting on John either. I'm not saying that. It's just, to me, it's just, it's a little bit of a dog and pony show because Paul put up his poll and then John put a big post up, like kind of confirming the errors and stuff like that. And I was like, what is going on here? Why is this so important?
Yeah, and that again, perfect transition, because I feel the same way. None of this is to say there aren't banger late 90s games. There absolutely are. There are banger games, I think, in all the eras. And so, I approached it like when I saw all this going down as more of an interesting research project. And obviously I come at it too with my own bias and confirmation. For me, my age, the arcades were the mid 80s to the mid 90s. That's when I was of the age to be able to go by myself, take my own money, go play these games, 10 years old up until, graduating high school essentially. And so there's some confirmation bias there as well. Like I'm sure that John and Paul are feeling with, and some other people that are in that age group. But like I said, I wanted to take a more data driven approach to it
Mm.
based on all the conversations. But you brought up John's post. So I wanted to share that this is his response on my poll, which he obviously felt passionate about and posted on numerous Facebook groups. I don't know where else it was. I saw at least 3 or 4 times on different things, right? And one of the interesting things was that caught my attention is when he starts this, he says it's the official eras, right? And so, well, I was like, okay, if they're official eras, tell me where I can find these official eras. Because if they're official, if there's some agreed upon arcade standard, I'll comply with it. Because I researched it, I couldn't find it. And in fact, I found nobody that gives the eras like he does. So they similar names, but the time frames are different on all of these, right? So that I took a little exception with that because it was more of like it's official because it's coming from me kind of thing. And I get it. His response was he lived like a lot of this stuff, and I don't dispute that. I don't know fully his time at these different companies when that occurred, but I think there are very real data points we can look at, not just opinions across multiple websites and industry information, but there's real data that we can examine to see, I think, what really some of the major events and turning points are and when they occurred in the whole arcade eras kind of a thing. And I think in doing that, it really sheds light on not only what we consumers want, but I think it's gonna be interesting because I went ahead and charted every home arcade cabinet released today with what era it was released in. So we'll be able to see as we get into the data a little bit, because I'm a nerdy data guy, where they've concentrated. I think that will be very interesting, I think, for people just to see. Because again, there's two questions here. There's what do people, which is the question I asked here, which is what era do you feel was the best era of arcades? That's your personal opinion. Which was your favorite sets of games? And so while we can differ on how you dice and slice it, the majority of people in my poll found that 10-year period from the mid 80s to mid 90s. And I think that's similar probably to what yours had, though probably going back to including the early 80s as well, because obviously there's bangers everywhere. But so there's what we, the customers,
we discussed that. There's everybody says that there's bangers everywhere, except for iArcade.
yes, exactly. And so then there's where the companies went, right? So two different things: where the customers are and where the companies targeted when they release stuff. So I think looking at both those is going to be pretty interesting for people just to see the data behind it. But the first thing I did, because John talked a lot about the crash and stuff like that, was I wanted to, again, I won't spend too much time on the nerdy data stuff, but I charted the real dollars. So that's the inflation adjusted money spent in the arcade industry using official U.S. Federal Reserve data. So this is specific to the U.S. market, which doesn't match what happened in Japan.
James, can we just stop to confirm that you are a massive nerd?
I like data.
Now we can continue.
Yeah. So the yellow line, right? This is your nominal. So this is what it cost at the time. These are like if they made 7 billion here in 1983, right, or 82, that was the money then. But if you adjust it for inflation, it's equivalent to 24.3 billion today. So I think that's the dotted blue line, right? So a lot of John's hypothesis is around, well, the he calls it the second golden era, or what did he call it over here? The
Revival
revival
era.
era,
Yeah.
right? Was based on this like 94 peak, right? That's when Street Fighter was at its highest and became like the highest grossing cabinet of all time and blah blah blah. But that was, not, that was actually below, even in nominal dollars, below the actual peak, which was in 83. But it's the second peak, right? So that's why I think sometimes he likes to refer to it as the second golden age. But 94 was the peak, not 97, not 98, not 99. It was 94, right? When suddenly things turned and started going the other direction.
It's so wild how these numbers pretty much, like if you did the same line chart on console sales, would pretty much line up exactly the same. Like it was the same, boom and decline period almost exactly.
Yeah, I mean, it was really in that 83 times, it was the console crash that took
Yeah.
down arcades,
Yeah.
right? And it was artificial. So I think that's why John and others call that the crash and recovery period, because it was like, hey, we had this major crash over 1 year, and then it took 3 or 4 years to get back to kind of where we were, where, you know, um, I, I I can see that, and I'll concede that point. But to me, the crash marks the end of an era, and then the next era starts the beginning, because it didn't like continue to decline. It almost the very next year started going back up, right? And so that was a reset point. And so that's why, to me, like the mid 80s really marked in my mind the beginning of a new era, because things started going back up, and they went back up for a decade. They went till 94, where they began declining again. So, and if you, like I said, if you adjust it for inflation, the peak actually occurs even before that, right? In that uh, uh, the peak moves back what? Almost, almost like 6 years into that 87 era. So inflation adjusted, the peak was even earlier because of that. But,
Yeah,
and of
like
course, down here you
there's
got COVID.
well, I just throw this out here for like that 87 period. I think that Street Fighter 2 and like it wasn't just Street Fighter 2. You can say it was all
Oh, yeah.
Street Fighter 2, but like Mortal Kombat came on the scene and there was this huge push on fighting games in the arcades that certainly brought a big load of people back into the arcades. But there at the end of the early 80s, we had shit coming out like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, WrestleFest, X-Men, like that, that
Oh, yeah.
late 80s to early 90s, even before Street Fighter was a thing, that really started bringing people back to the arcade. So Street Fighter 2 was absolutely a phenomenon and was so important. But I mean, the recovery, like your thing here, I think started before that. I think that, again, you romanticize with the things that you're really like in
Right.
love with. And obviously, as we know, John really likes Street Fighter.
And I wanted to remember to shout out KFB for the 9.99 super chat. Really appreciate it. And guess he's disappointed in the new Legacy Collection issues not having lobbies and stuff, which that's disappointing to hear. I hadn't seen that yet, but really appreciate the super chat. Yeah, and to your point, some of the data that I've seen people argue, so like on Arcade Museum, I thought one guy put it really well, is he said the era was the late 80s or mid 80s to the mid 90s, because of what he calls it the fighter generation, which started with the beat 'em ups, which is what you were talking about, right? So like you started getting Double Dragon in 87, and then you started rolling into TMNT and X-Men and Simpsons, which cross all the way through that mid to late 80s into the early 90s, where it turns into the fighting game. So instead of just walking down the street fighting, now the fighters took on more complexity, more move sets, whether that's special moves or fatalities. And really, those two are fully linked, because you would never have gotten to the fighters if you didn't have the beat 'em ups leading the way, because they're essentially, you know, brothers.
Yeah.
They grew from each other. And so I think that, again, that kind of reinforces that mid 90s for me. But I'm willing to concede a middle ground. And so one of the things I also did was, I just had AI research and say, tell me what the eras are. And you go out and find all the eras, like, because what I found, nobody agrees. And so it comes down to the same basic kind of stuff, which I think is a nice middle ground between what John said and kind of what I said, and following on some of the stuff you've said, where again you got this 87 to 96 representing the fighting era. It's paying homage to the so-called crash and recovery, the golden age. Then it goes on to build it out, because you have the rise of barcades, which I don't think anybody goes into that much depth. I think we just kind of all agree it becomes the modern era, because once you hit, and I've said this a few times in these chats, once you hit 3D, the only difference between a 3D game in 1995 and a 3D game today is the amount of polygons. Like,
Yeah.
they're basically the same. Like, yes, they've added little things here and there, but they're basically the same stuff. And we haven't really evolved other than compute power to put more polygons in that time frame. And for me, it's interesting from a sociological perspective, because I've heard others argue that basically the mid 90s was the decade where culture died. And it kind of coincides with that basically with the rise of the internet and worldwide communication, we stopped having these clear eras where, fashion completely shifts, where music completely changes, and you just end up in this long stretch since basically the late 90s to today, where it's kind of just bland, more of the same on a continual basis. It's like, yeah, there's probably some gradual changes, but we're gradually changing worldwide, as opposed to, you look back at the 50s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the early 90s, you can distinctly tell, like, you can look at what somebody's wearing, the music they're listening to, and you know exactly where they are, which doesn't really hold true anymore and hasn't for a long time. I'm hating on polygons. Curse those polygons. So this was one what I thought was a nice compromise. It kind of leans into what John was saying, but I think more accurately reflects the gaming styles and technology of the time. I did one with show it to me strictly based on the technology behind games, so same data. This one probably aligns more with what I was thinking. Got another $2 super chat from Zero Redux, who said, what about the home arcade era? That is an excellent question. So we are 8 more away from sloppy seconds. So remember, we're going to feed the trolls tonight if we hit that goal. So
I think you should do it anyways, because fuck them, they deserve it.
Oh, I probably will.
Yeah.
And so the last one is the one I talked about earlier, where I said I wanted to map every single release in the 3/4 scale from Arcade 1 up into the eras.
Oh, before we get there,
Yeah.
John put a post up in the original Media 1-Up page. Are you going to get to that at some point? Are you going to bring that one up? Did you have that?
I was not. I don't think I saw that one.
Okay, because that is a very important piece to this puzzle that I do want to talk about. So before we go any further with all this research you did that I would really appreciate,
keep in mind, I used AI to do it, so it didn't take me very long.
Okay.
James did put a whole ton of effort.
I think a lot of people have said it in the chat, and I agree with this too. I don't really think like you need to focus on the eras. I think the focus here is on what specific games that they should make and they should come out with. I mean, talking about everybody's favorite era is really missing the point. Like, the question should be 100%, what games that haven't been released yet would you like to see made by Iconic Arcade? That's the real question. And like, the eras, and I'm sorry to be blunt about this, the eras, they can go to hell. We all
They
have
don't
our
mean shit.
nostalgia points. They don't mean
Yeah.
shit. What you really want to ask is, what specific games? Because like, all this, I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been just fucking around with John. Just that's the main reason I've been doing this, just to maybe poke him a little bit. But honestly, the key question, like, he's got a bunch of titles he wants to make
Oh yeah.
that I think a lot of people would be really excited about and would be very successful. But, and like, don't come up and say, oh, these are the titles the fans have been asking for. Some have, 100%. But like, before you bring up John's post, if you can find it, I'll also say John gets too involved with this shit, right? Like, at one point there was a Qbert survey because obviously P-dubs wanted Qbert, and then John was there like saying nobody wants Qbert, that's not going to get anywhere. Like, he was submarining it, like when he was on shows and talking about how it didn't do well, and then talking about like, oh, free MK4 is doing well. So like, and nothing against that, I would love to see both games made, but his involvement is just so fucking weird.
Yeah, so I'm not sure which post you're referring to because I'm not
Oh,
finding anything
I'll see if I
since.
can. I'll see if I
Yeah,
can
see if
find
you
it
can
and
dig
send
it
it
up.
to you.
And I appreciate you saying that because the arcade era stuff is just a lead in to exactly that, right? Talking about the game. So I wanted to set up the eras in order to get to the distribution that I was talking about, so that then we could look at the gaps and like
Oh,
what
there's
games are
still
really left.
something else to
Really
talk about
cool.
here too.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I can find his post. I'm looking down through it now, see if I can find it, or it might have been the original Arcade One Up global fan page. But let me find it. But it gets funnier. That's the fucking thing. This gets so funny, and like, I want to go into the drama of it all because I'm a drama streamer,
Yeah.
obviously.
Oh yeah. So appreciate the super chat. Stock Jock for $5 says my favorite era is going to be way different than a 30 something. I'm an old guy, so give me the late 70s and early 80s. Get off my lawn. And that's exactly right. So while you're looking that up, I'm just going to throw
Oh,
these
can I share
back up on
something?
the
Can I
screen.
do that?
Yeah, yeah, you should be able to. If
Let
not,
me
you can
see.
drop it in the private
Because I don't
chat.
know
And
how. Here, see if you can see this link, and
yep,
I'll exit myself off. See if you can see this link. I'll drop it in the
oh,
private chat.
it just disappeared.
Well,
You
I
had
dropped
it
it
on
up.
there.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I'm dropping it because you might be able to open this better. I'm running on this super wide monitor.
Okay, yeah. So this is the super long one.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is the one he threw everywhere. Is the wood gotta make sure
there was more to it though because he talked about he talks about like he sees huge potential in like revenue and stuff like that, like sales potential, and that is exactly what he should be talking about as a company trying to build stuff. Like, these are
right.
games that he thinks has potential, has market potential, and then you've also got to think about it from a retail perspective. We know they've gone to retailers with older games, and the retailers who are younger kids say these games aren't successful, they aren't exciting. So he obviously has that side of the knowledge that a lot of us probably don't have as well, to state that this is something that's going to be beneficial. I don't know if you can go back up to the post instead of just the back and forth.
Yeah, so he's got the big post here, right? Which starts with the eras. This is the post that he kind of threw all over the place.
Yeah.
Which he expanded here, right? So Beyond the Eras says, I grew up in the golden era, so that's where a big part of nostalgia is. I was brought back to the arcades starting with Street Fighter 2, which sparked the revival era of the 90s, which I would argue had already begun. At Arcade One Up, sales of the 80s games outside of Pac-Man sold significantly less than games of the revival era. Um, The Revival era games hold up better than Golden era games, but that's a controversial opinion. I love some Robotron, Mr. and Miss Pac-Man, Galaga, Missile Command, Double Dragon, Dragon's Lair, and Star Wars. Will Iconic Arcade focus on just 90s and 2000s games? Heck no, but at least our chipset can handle these titles.
Yes. See, here's
Yep.
the thing. This is all just so funny. Like I'm just kind of making fun of this a little bit because he puts all this stuff out and he put a ton of stuff out there, and I appreciate that. And obviously, we know they're not just going to focus on 90s and 2000 titles. They're making a Double Dragon cabinet, so I mean, like we know that, but like. Obviously, like there's a desire there, and like he talks about, we can make newer games, and there's a couple he wants to make, but he also wants this confirmation that it's what the community wants too. That's
Right.
the part I don't really understand. So after all this communication went on, you put out your poll, all this other stuff. Then later on that night, there was a Reddit post where it was John D confirms that 90s games outsold 80s games at Arcade 1-Up. And it's just it's all so ridiculous, right? Like I'm like, why are we doing this? Like it's just so stupid. Like is it to get data to convince retailers to pick up certain things, or to convince your partners to greenlight projects? I don't understand. Like it's all just so dumb. Like honestly, if John put up a post and he was like, guys, I'm gonna make Street Fighter Trilogy, you know what? You're going to get tons of support from the community because they really want to see it. Is it a game I want? No, I don't give a shit about Street Fighter, but they would do it. Like, honestly, they tons of support.
Absolutely. Absolutely it would. And we have Jim's the Pacers fan with the $4.99 super chat, says pole position. So this is the last data slide I have, right? And I wanted to see where this is Arcade 1-Up. No other company, right? Because nobody else has released anything yet. And I wanted to know, where did they target their releases already? Obviously, John came from this, so had a big hand in releasing all this. And you can see 46% of the titles they released, individual cabs, right? All in that 90s era.
Yeah.
35% in the so-called golden era, which monetarily speaking raised more money than the 90s era, but on a inflation adjusted scale. And then you have like 9% in the late 90s, early 2000s era, so 97 on, and then 9% in that what they call the crash and recovery era. And so you can see clearly, like if you just look at the data and follow along the years, there's this, for some reason, there's very little releases between arcades that were released in 83 and say like 1990. There's just it's like vacant, where you got this big cluster of games in John's favorite era, which is tons of great titles, right? Like Midway, NBA Jam, Street Fighter, X-Men, Simpsons, just tons of great shit. And then we know there's tons of great shit down here, down in the golden era with the Pac-Man and all that fun stuff. So I thought it would be interesting, and I think this is kind of the revealing point, to look at that underserved era and see what titles were in there that Arcade 1-Up or Iconic Arcade or Basic Fun could release that hasn't been released. And so this is that list. Now I've highlighted in blue the ones they actually released, and I included 1991, not as part of that gap, but just to show you how, like, of the top 5 games in 91, they released 4, or the top 6. 4 of the top 6 in that era, right? And so what this is the top 50 games between 84 and through 91. And they're just then grouped by the year. So these are of varying sizes. And as you look through these, you'll see that there are a lot of titles that ended up on an Arcade 1-Up cab, but never actually were a marquee title, like Gauntlet or Ghosts and Goblins or Paperboy, right? So there's a lot of these that they have the rights to. They just never thought they were strong enough to put, as the marquee title. I thought you promised that you already showed the last slide. No, I said no more data. This is the last slide. The other one was the last slide of data. So, I just thought that was interesting. And I'm curious if there are people in the chat that see titles on here that you think would legitimately be big sellers in this quote unquote underserved era. Because it's pretty clear 90s have been beat to death, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the challenge with saying, oh, people love the 90s. The 90s had a bunch of great eras, but you've released so many cabs in the 90s. What's left? And unless you go to the really high end stuff like Hydro Thunder and House of the Dead, there's not much out there. It's been done. You've released them.
Yeah. Now, I'd like to give John a hard time because, obviously he was very anti-Cubert when the poll went up, but he was behind trying to do a lot of stuff at Arcade 1-Up based on the 80s. So to be fair, talk about this the truth. Like, obviously, Paperboy is one we would love to see. And I think you go back to the prototypes that leaked from whoever leaked those out. I don't have any idea. There was like a Paperboy prototype. And I've said it every single time I see that goddamn Midway Legacy cabinet. I'm like, Paperboy should not be on here. No one wants to play with a joystick. I would love to see that. Obviously, Hang On, Ghosts and Goblins could be there. Karate Champ, obviously, we want a Burger Time more when that actually came up.
Like I would buy Splatterhouse in a second.
I don't know. I don't know how well Splatterhouse would do because it's Namco, so you got to do Splatterhouse, and then you put a bunch of the Namco horizontal games on there. So like you could do Rolling Thunder, other shit like that. So yeah, Splatterhouse might do pretty well, especially like horror theme cabs. Yeah. Bubble Bobble, that's not my cup of tea. I'd rather play it on the NES. Curry Warriors, obviously, there are people like crazy people like you, James, that want that. Afterburner, like 87, like this is where it starts to get really good, right? Afterburner, yes. God, yes. Double Dragon, God, yes. Should have been done a million times over. Absolutely. Contra, yes, you could do. Shinobi, we did see Shinobi on the Golden Axe cab. I don't know how well that sold, but I would love to see a Shinobi.
Yeah, to Ghouls me, and Ghosts. Shinobi's a marquee title for sure. Yeah. Like that was a great game at the time.
Altered Beast, yes. Chase HQ, Splatterhouse, RoboCop. I mean, I would do all of those from '88. They did the first three. I'm not the biggest UN Squadron fan. This is one I know John wants to do. And this is what, makes me banana hammock crazy on this. Because I've always said with the racing titles, the games you need to focus on are games like, there's very specific ones. Sega Rally, Daytona, Cruisin', and Rush. Those are the big arcade titles you want to throw in there. Now, you could also throw in Hydro Thunder as well. These are 94 to late 90s games, and that's where it gets off. But John wants to do Super Off-Road. Like, he's determined. That was one of the games that was supposed to come out with Arcade 1-Up before he left, right? Hard Driving,
and me personally, I love that game. Super Sprint, Super Off-Road, they're great. I would love to see them.
Smash TV, yes, a lot of people want to see that. I think it should be Robotron. Pit Fighter, I agree with Paul. Let's just do Pit Fighter and call it a day. I mean, really, that was the game that started this whole motion capture fighting. Like, Mortal Kombat is a poor substitute for Pit Fighter, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. So Zero, the reason I didn't put 93 on the list is the vast majority of those have been released. So that's the main reason. So I'm sure there are some like Qbert and things like that, though I don't think Qbert was 83 off the top of my head. But there are still going to be unreleased golden era games that we would all love to see. But that's the only reason 83 is not on there, is because so many of those were released. Because I started with that and it was like, man, there were so many on here we've already seen there. It didn't really add to the conversation.
When did Narc come out? Skyhook brings it up. I thought Narc was out by this time.
I can check real quick.
Yeah, I'm almost 100% sure because they were playing Narc in the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie back in
88.
the
Yeah, so that would
yeah.
fall in the 88 era.
Like there have been tons of people that have been demanding a narc cabinet. I mean, that's another one.
Oh yeah, there's tons of good stuff in that era. And so my point on this is like that's an area this is that time period you could concentrate on where yes, arcades weren't as big at the time period, but there were still banger titles in there that would be bigger on the all-time list had the crash not messed with people going into the arcades, right? Like even then, a lot of these are huge. Like I remember playing all the Kung Fu all the time at the arcade and Shinobi and stuff like that. We'd go soccer and in between indoor soccer practice, we playing in the arcade, playing all those titles like the arcades may have been dead, but those games stuck around into the recovery era, and we were all playing the shit out of them.
Yeah. So Paul said earlier, this is much to do about nothing, and I kind of agree with it as well. I was just fucking with people. That's all I was doing. But I honestly think that I'll go back to my original point here. I think John has a plan on what he wants to make. I think that from a business perspective, he's very smart. He knows, what the market wants. He knows what that stuff wants. I don't really think like it matters what the community says. I think if John just came out with like a roadmap and told people, I don't think he would have anybody complain at all. Like nobody would complain.
100%.
I am just doing the same thing I have always done, going back to the days when even Arcade 1-Up was in its boom period. Well, really, not really the boom. The boom had already happened, and COVID was kind of fizzling out. And then they put out 40 cabs in 1 year, but we'll call that the boom period. I was saying, holy fuck, there's a lot of 90s games coming out. And sorry for swearing so much tonight. There's a ton of 90s games coming out. And, most of us want to see cool 80s shit. We want to see we want to see a tapper cab. We want to see this. We want to see that. Like so much to me, and people are going to hate this. So much change with Arcade 1-Up in a very short period of time because of different things. And that's the thing. There's so many different people that want so many different things from this company. They try to take the best advice. Like you have absolute assholes like the Cornercade saying, I would love for the cabs to be smaller so they could go closer to the wall so I could fit more in. And now we're stuck with these diet Arcade 1-Up cabs because of really stupid decision making. But like some of the magic and mystique fell away with these cabinets when they started getting loading up with too many games. And people are going to hate that because they said, to make the money work, to make it make sense for me, I need more bang for my buck. I need more bang for my cab. I need more games.
Absolutely.
But what you lose is the originality, the uniqueness, the more games you put on. So like for me, I look like people get mad. Tron only has 2 games. What it's hard to put anything else on there. Like I want a tapper cab, but you know what? Only things I want on that tapper cab are tapper, root beer tapper, and Alpine. See, that's the stuff I miss about the old Arcade 1-Up. You get 3 or 4 games. A lot of them made really good sense. You got more accurate controls. That's the kind of shit I wanted. But now we're in a period where we got like 15 to 20 games on a cab, and the controls are generic multi-cade controls in a lot of senses. I'm going off on a tangent, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
All these guys are talking about our white beards. It's funny because my wife said something when I was on the last time with you. I think not this the other day, but like few weeks ago. She's like, you guys could be brothers. And I was like, why? Because the gray beard.
Because we're old.
Really but yeah, it's funny because I agree with you. And I wonder how much of the inflation and cost was brought about by adding all the extra games, because the cabs I like the most are the ones that only have like a couple games on them. You know, whether that's Star Wars or Dragon's Lair or, there's something to be said for having more, but like you said, they completely screw up the controls on a lot of them because they need to throw in extra buttons and extra joysticks and everything else. And it would be better if they just stuck to really like, here's the ones that were at least played on the same controls and screen.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
mean, that's what I want to focus on. Like, I would rather sacrifice. I know a lot of people love when the Atari cabs have like 48 games, and but you run into the rule of 80/12, where you got to have a horizontal screen because the majority of the games are
Yeah.
horizontal. So we get fucked out of having a proper centipede cab. So I would love to go back and just I would be totally fine with just getting a centipede millipede on it. And I don't know if Iconic's the company to do that. I think Iconic has a really good strategy. They're going to do a lot of things
Yep.
that a lot of people in the community want, but maybe not exactly what I want. So one of the big things they're focusing on now is you can buy additional games to add to your cabinet.
Yeah.
So we're not just doing 15 games per cab. There might be 80 games on a cab now.
Right.
So like I do have concerns with that, like not so much with Street Fighter because Street Fighter's laid out like a perfect multicade, right? It's got two control sticks, two 6-button joysticks. You can do a
Right.
lot with that. But then you get to Double Dragon. Double Dragon only had what was it, 2 buttons?
Yep.
So it's like Final Fight, only 2 buttons. It's harder to add a bunch of games to that. So I'm wondering when we get past like Street Fighter, does Double Dragon come out with a 6-button configuration to accommodate all the games they'll add to that cab? And that's where it loses me. I was always hoping someone like New Wave would come out there because everybody buys these
Yeah.
replicades. They'll
Makes
spend their
actual
$160.
replicas.
It's a exact replica and it only has like 1 or 2 games on it, but everybody's fine with that. Would that be okay in a larger scale? Like, are you going to be willing to pay 600-700 bucks for that?
Yeah, and I wanted to give a quick shout out to Jason, always showing the support for everybody in this community. I mean, he is awesome. So really appreciate the gifted memberships, man. Just can't say enough about Jason. Such a great guy. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. I think there's clearly like different markets. There's it's smart business sense for John to make a store to target
Oh,
the esports type games and make lots of sales. And there's a market for that. Is it like you said? Is it something that I want or a lot of people specifically in this community? I think some, yes, I want the marquee title. I like the way it looks. But there are also games in there. Like if they put Ghosts and Goblins on there, I'd rather have that as a standalone cab, right? Like I
yeah,
want that as its own cab. I want Ghouls and Ghosts as its own cab. Like I want to have those different ones in the arcade. I would be much more on board for the replicas. It's one of the reasons why I like what G.I. Joel did with his Build-A-Cade Deluxe. Like I did a Popeye. It's got one button. There's not a whole lot of games you're putting on it. It's got one button. And so, but to me, it was worth the money because it's a replica. It's basically a scaled down version of the real thing. So it fits in with everything else. And I was willing to spend the money to do it the right way, the way I wanted for that look. And I think there's something to be said for that too. They're two different markets. And I think people there's overlap, of course. It doesn't mean like you have to pick one camp or the other or the full multicades or whatnot. But there's room for both. But I think there's a lot to be said, like you did. Like the reason New Wave Toys is popular because you're basically getting the real thing, just
yeah,
smaller. And it's like, can I get the real thing bigger but still smaller? Like that's kind of
yeah.
what I want.
Some of us. That's exactly what we want. Like me, for example, I've said this. Arcade One Up was looking at making a Robotron. I know John worked really hard behind the scenes. Like he's told me, and I don't know if I can say this, but I'll fucking say it anyways. I don't give a shit. So I know the legwork he went to try to make that cab because basically what happened is no one knew who owned the rights. At one point, iArcade were trying to slide in there because they were talking to Eugene Jarvis. And this is what iArcade always did. They always tried to backdoor to get licenses.
Right.
But, John reached out to WB and said, do you guys own the rights to this? WB said, we don't know and we don't care. So like they refused to do the work. Like it was basically stuck in limbo because they didn't know if they owned it or not and refused to even do any research. John went out of his way to actually do the research and get it and had it set up. So like he wanted to do a Robotron. But my concern is with an Arcade One Up model, if they did that, I mean, you're not really getting Robotron. You're getting Robotron probably on a Smash TV cab with a
Right.
two player, that same deck that they had for Burger Time, the Karate Champ deck. And that's awesome for Smash TV, two-player Smash TV. Awesome for Total Carnage. Not exactly awesome for Robotron. So, that's the kind of things. Like, I would
Yeah.
rather have a GI Joel or like a real dedicated Robotron than I would like an arcade one-up version of it. Like, if I was a big Smash TV fan, but I could also play Total Carnage and Robotron on the cab, banger. But I'm not.
Yeah, right.
I don't really give a shit about Smash TV. I just want a Robotron.
Yeah, and it's funny because there's a lot of people too talking about the online play, which I think is another valid debate, right? Like there's going to be people that are competitive fighters that want online play. But the reality for me is unless it's a co-op game like a beat 'em up, I don't give a shit if it's got online play. Like I'm going to play the computer more often than not, except for maybe NBA Jam and Blitz. Like those are kind of fun online because those are to me
I
more competitive, less differential in player skill. Like you can with the catch up mechanics and things like that. Whereas you get into like Street Fighter MK, you're going to get dominated by the tryhards that are on there all the time, just killing everybody.
yeah,
And so
but
it's a lot less fun than say pairing up and going playing X-Men or Turtles and things like that.
see, this is a lot of the problem with like the way these lobbies are set up. They're set up in the most basic way. They don't set them up
Yeah.
in ways that are fun. Like they could learn a lot of lessons from what Zen Studios does, like being able to go in, set up like your own lobby and being able to set up your own tournament and shit like that. And
Yeah.
set it to only play with friends. Maybe you can do that. I don't know how to do that. But like even with the app and being able to be notified when somebody's online, so you can like nudge them and be like, "Hey James, I see you're online on your Killer Instinct cab. Do you want to play Killer Instinct? Do you want to
Right.
play Battletoads?" Like there needs to be more functionality like that because we're so disconnected now that you get on there and like I'll turn on my cabs and all of a sudden. I'm thankful people are reaching out to me, but I'm getting harassed to have these online matches. And I'm like, even at the fucking cab, man. It's one of like 8 cabs I have in my arcade. I'm currently playing pinball. Sorry, I can't jump on with you right now.
Yeah, Zim, I think no worries. There's definitely going to be online play. That's a big part of what John wants. So that's definitely going to be there. And for a Street Fighter guy like Zim, I know that's critical to what he wants, right? So, and it's not to not like I don't think it's one of those things where um oh, get rid of online play. For me, it's just like I could take it or leave it on most games. I don't need it. I don't crave it. It's a nice to have. It's not going to change my buying decision. Like I'm going to buy the game if I want the game. I don't really care if it has online or not. Personally, for me, and I
See,
know other people's differ, and that's great.
see, the cool thing, like what they're doing right now with Street Fighter, like at first everybody was like, "Oh, it's Street Fighter. It's another Street Fighter." But like, if you are in that market for having
Oh,
like a multicade type Capcom multicade, I mean, it does have that perfect layout. It's got the 6 buttons, 2 controllers,
yep,
so you can play all your fighters and very easily play all the beat 'em ups. They can do a lot of cool shit with that. That can be a really cool Capcom cab. Where this concept falls apart for me is like if they released a Final Fight cab, is that going to have 6 buttons? If the Double Dragon going to have 6 buttons? Like where does it go from here? Like how does it work? And we won't know that till the future. Right now, it's a
yeah.
really good setup for what they have. How will it work in the future? I don't know.
Well, I don't think we've seen an update in the new announcements from Iconic, but one of the things like coming out of CES that I was really found super beneficial for people like us is that there was talk of it having HDMI out, right? So it would be easy to stream, which is critical for esports games, right? Which is kind of what he's going for with a lot of this online play. But we also know Evercade has done a bunch of stuff with Capcom and they specifically aren't allowed to put like HDMI out. So I'm curious if if it's going to continue to have the HDMI out capabilities. I would think since it's powered by a Pi that it's still there. But to me, that's a huge deal with these cabs for at least building a community around the online play. If you're going to do online play, having HDMI out so people can stream it on Twitch and YouTube is critical to growing the community and the customer base. That's why arcade one-ups, other than a handful of games, are dead, because they have no easy way to do that, and it's not as easy as just plugging in something into OBS and going.
No, and I mean, even if you look at what Stern are doing now, Stern are getting smart to it too. They're putting HDMI out on their Spike 3 system so people don't have to jerry rig something up to play the DMD and the animations
Yep.
for their games. They know the value of people streaming these games and advertising and marketing it. I don't know why Arcade One Up companies like AtGames didn't see the value in that. Like, if you want your cabs to get like the most awesome word of mouth, it's not assholes like us making news videos or opinion videos. Like, we don't do half the numbers that these online streamers do.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I'm not just talking about hot girls. I mean, there's random fucking weirdo guys, and somehow they have like 16 million people watching them do a stream. Like, if you provide them ease of use and allow them to stream, that's going to be your best advertisement. Especially like one thing John's smart with, like the fighting community. I mean, if you make a really good fighting cab that actually works well, and I mean, if Marvel vs. Capcom had really good controls, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 had really good controls, worked really well, had netcode rollback, and then also had like that HDMI out, that could have caught some serious attention with fighting game streamers. They would have been playing it. But I think one of the biggest reasons they didn't was obviously it didn't work right. It wasn't acceptable to their standards. The controls, were arcade one-up controls. I mean, for us, it's fine. We're not competition level players. We're not experts.
Right.
And, it was hard to stream. So
yep, if you're going for that community, it's got to be easy to stream, it's got to have the good controls, and it's got to play well. Can I do jazz hands for a few seconds?
Hey!
Alrighty, so I think it's a good time to transition and maybe possibly feed some trolls. What do you think?
Sure, man. I'm here for the experience.
All right. So we'll wrap this up with the feeding some trolls. So we hit the we got 6 supers and a bunch of memberships and stuff. So we'll call it good there. And so that means you guys have unlocked
I am so making sloppy joes for supper tomorrow. Like, the price of ground beef has gone wild here in Canada, but I am making sloppy joes here tomorrow. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. All right, here we go. Let's feed some trolls.
Guys, we have a super chat goal. Until you give me 10 supers, I am going to be a miserable person.
He will. This guy never shares super chats with me.
Yeah. Why would I share my super chats with you? People are here to watch me.
Yeah.
Guess I'll stay not monetized by YouTube or my so-called friend.
All right, enough of that. We are here to talk about how they took everyone's money.
The New Wave toys. No.
John, you idiot. John announced a new arcade, and it was delayed.
Oh, yeah. Tariffs have been delaying stuff from all these companies.
What? Did you even read the damn script? We are supposed to be attacking John.
Yeah. Sorry. John sucks.
I give up. I'm just going to retire. Sorry.
Can I have the show?
Who?
All right,
who's that? Is that's Gamer Fridge, right? That's you doing Gamer Fridge?
It's Chaotic and 6, I think, or I don't know who those
Chaotic and 6 were doing something like that earlier. they told this story about how Galaga Guy and 19K Fox were in the process of selling their AtGames Legends Pinball 4Ks. And like, I don't know Galaga Guy's reason. I know Fox's reason. He's crazy. Like, he's crazy. Like, he'll get mad about something and he's like, yeah, I'm selling it. But anyways, what was it? 6 brought up, well, yeah, it's like they all bought the NFL Blitz and then all sold it after they got everybody else to buy it. And like, I don't know what he meant by it exactly, but like, I think that some of that narrative actually flows into people's brains. Like they don't understand. People buy things because they get excited. Like I didn't buy NFL Blitz until it went on absolute crazy sales here in Canada. So while everybody else bought it new, like by the time it came out in Canada, it had dropped to like $499 Canadian. Now you do the cash conversion on that and think about how much I paid for
Oh
it.
yeah.
It originally came out here at like $7.99. So it was like down almost a half price. I bought it, had a lot of fun with it. My buddy Mike Dalton wrote me and said, "Hey, I want the NFL Blitz cab. Will you sell me yours?" When I was in the process of selling my cabs because I needed money and I needed space. So that's why I went. I had a lot of fun with Blitz outside of the absolutely horrendous side artwork.
Yeah, I dig Blitz. That's still one of my favorites, which I paid. That's the there's only two cabs from Arcade One Up that I've paid full price on, and it's that one and MVC2, which are
Oh.
MVC2 had issues obviously, but
Yeah. Yeah, I've paid full price for a lot of them, James. A lot of them.
yeah, but you got to remember you've been in this longer than I have. Like I got in basically at the end of our no, I take that back. I bought Golden Tee at full price because it was like I had the opportunity to get it before everybody else. But yeah, I mean, by the time I got into it, arcade was in this big decline and things were flying off discounts. So, I got most of them for, like Simpsons under $200 or I got on Black Friday with a discount coupon and paid like $125. Like they were all like just blowouts. And so, and the ones that weren't like Time Crisis, I bought it when it was like 150 off and then used Amazon Cash points. And so ended up paying like $100 to get it.
Yeah, I'm still sad because we had this great time. Like when I got back into after I went through my period where I didn't really have the money for it, I didn't really have the space for it, and then all of a sudden things got better. So I could start building my collection back. So I went through this great period with the Brick, where the Brick did these great sales. Amazon did great sales. So I got my Street Fighter Deluxe for $500 Canadian. And then the Brick did this crazy sale where they were putting on the MK Deluxe for 500 as well. And I was like, I am definitely getting that. I miss Mortal Kombat so much.
Right.
And at the exact same time, they also put Time Crisis down to $6.99. And I am absolutely kicking myself that I didn't take a shot at it. But I mean, it's Mortal Kombat. I mean, I didn't have the same history, but I am fascinated by that Time Crisis cab. I wanted one. So after that, it went back up to its regular price, $849. Now it is currently sitting at like $1,000 Canadian. That's how much it costs to buy. I'll never get it unless I pick up one used, but there it is.
Yeah, and that attitude burned me, right? I missed Tron because I kept waiting for it to go on a discount where I could swoop in and grab it. Never did. There was a couple other titles like I still haven't got the MK2 Deluxe because I'm holding out hope that they'll do an XL or somebody will do an XL. And that's a great cab. That's one I would like to have.
Brian in 6 didn't offend me. I was just talking about something that was said. And go back and watch it. Neither of them offended me in any way. I was just talking about like a statement of like 6 had made the statement that people had bought Blitz and then, other people bought it. And then these guys, there's also, I will be very honest, like people shit on Cornercade all the time. And he deserves it like 99% of the time. Like, honestly. But like when you're doing this YouTube, there is like a compulsion to buy stuff. And it's like, oh, I'm buying it for the channel and this will be exciting because I'm doing it for the channel. Stuff like that. Some people do that. And you're excited about something, you play it for a while, and then you kind of get bored with it. Like any collector, especially arcade collectors, they do this all the time. They add a new game. They're like, oh man, I've been hoping to get like a Time Pilot forever. Then they have it for like 6 months and they're like, yeah, Time Pilot was fun, but I need to clear up space. I want to bring something new in.
Yeah.
People act like that is like the biggest, travesty in the home arcade community. I have people write me and they're like, "You sell everything. You don't keep anything. I'm so tired of this channel because you don't keep it." And I was like, "What? Like, have you not watched like John's Arcade or any of these other arcade channels? It's like a pretty normal process. Like, if you fill out your
Oh, yeah.
space, you're gonna have to let something go to bring something new in."
Yeah, or just gone to your local arcade, right? Like there's
Yeah.
only so much space and you want to rotate in new games and rotate out games and then rotate them back in at some point, like because they get stale. People stop playing them if they just sit there forever. And I do want to give a big shout out to B Kirby again, doing 20 gifted memberships, man. So appreciate it. Condolences. I know B Kirby had a loss in his family, so hope you're doing well. Really appreciate all your support and you taking time and dropping by as we talk nerdy stuff. So really appreciate it.
Yeah, and seriously, man, like we all love you. Thank you for being
Yeah.
so nice. Like it's not just because like you're always giving people super chats, you're always buying memberships. It's nice, and I don't think we do it enough to like we do shout outs, and it seems like this, I don't know, this fucking thing that I'm sorry guys, it's Thursday. I'm really tired. It's been a long day. But like, we do shout outs, but I don't think some people that watch and are like regular viewers understand how much that means to us. Like we feel a connection with you guys. So like, you see Rotundo in the chat, Ritual Dello, you see that person and you come to count on them and you expect them like it's your buddy you're hanging out with. So even though we give shout outs and we thank you, I don't think you understand how much we appreciate you guys coming in and like watching the show and being there for us and the support. Like it motivates us to keep doing this.
Yeah,
Who the fuck is this guy?
He's coming in to pick a fight with you because you called him out.
I didn't call him out.
I've come to apologize.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Mike. Like we wouldn't be doing this if all these people weren't here and hanging out. Like I've shared before, what motivated me was watching Super Game Room dudes and watch you guys and just all hanging out and bullshitting and talking shit. And I was like, that's fun. I want to do it. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's why I did it. And also big shout out to the Penny Arcade for gifting 5 memberships. Again, really, really do appreciate it. As said it before, like anytime you guys do super chats, memberships, I roll it all back into the channel, whether that's editors or, equipment or whatever, it's all goes right back into the channel. So very much.
Not me, cocaine and hookers. That's what I do with my super chats.
Well, mainly it's like I buy so much AI stuff and other tools. Like it's like I'm spending way more.
If anybody ever said to me, Mike, you don't put anything back into your channel, like literally, most people might not think this, but like in YouTube terms, I am a very small channel. I don't have any aspirations of becoming a celebrity or anything like that. I know what I am and I'm having fun, but like I would never make back the money that I've put into my channel just on equipment. Like last year alone, this year alone, I've spent like $5,000. Like I was like, I need a new camera. I need a new mic. I need DJI mics.
So if it makes anybody feel better, right? Our YouTube just did a big thing for tiny channels, right? With the hype thing. For all those tiny channels with 500,000 or less subscribers. like in YouTube terms, if you don't have 500,000, you are small. And that's just mind-boggling, right? That's how many people are watching YouTube on a daily basis that they consider 500,000 subscribers like nothing. These guys need help. People can't find them. So it's pretty insane.
Brian, how the hell are you? It's so good to see you, my man. We don't spend enough time together.
No, we don't. I really appreciate it. I saw y'all just having a little fun on here, and then James showing out. Oh, anybody's invited. I was like, okay, well, they're talking shit about me, so I need to get on here.
We were not talking shit about you. During your show, you guys talked about Blitz, and Six made a comment. These guys bought Blitz, and then they sold it, and and I said, yeah, that's one thing that has been a criticism about a lot of the people that do YouTube cover this stuff, that sometimes we sell things. Like, I don't think that he meant me specifically or anything like that, but Like I said, I wasn't going to buy Blitz until it went on sale for like $4.99 Canadian. Like, it's the same as you guys going to like Ollie's and seeing it for $200. That's why I bought Blitz, not to do YouTube reviews or anything like that. I was like, at this price, fuck, I'll try it.
Well, and see, the thing is like what I mentioned it was I said that 19K Fox I think is selling his 4KP. I know Gallagher guy sold his, and that's when 6 went into his thing. I was like, where are you going with this? Because that's not where I was going with it. All I was trying to say is that AtGames is a shit company and that these people are fed up with it. That's all I was going with it. I wasn't trying to say that these YouTubers just buy stuff just to sell it later to try and convince people to buy stuff. That's not it, man. You're defining a shill. That's not where I was going with that.
Yeah. So, I think AtGames, honestly, I don't know what it's been, but it's almost like been like the last month. They're doing really good. It's like they let go of some dead weight, and now all of a sudden they're just firing on all cylinders. Yeah. I'm just fucking with you, Brian.
Oh, you're good, man. Like, as soon as they let me go, they just improved, right?
No, you know what? I will say this: as much as I liked messing with John this past week about like the errors and stuff like that, I thought that was funny. I mean, really, I don't think unless you're those fictional people that were on that troll show you had earlier, I don't think there's anybody that wants to see any of these companies fail. I mean, we all have our opinions, what we'd like to see them do. Sometimes we overreact when they do something we don't like because you hope that you can push them in a good direction, maybe, or something like that. But nobody wants to see these companies fail. No one wants to see AtGames fail. Like, it's hard right now because we know they just did a bunch of cutbacks, and like you're like, man, come on, pull through. I know they keep making mistakes, and sometimes they don't know how to connect with the consumers at all, but it's a really good product, and you just fingers are crossed, man. Get your shit back together.
Yeah, I mean, like towards the end of my show, I was saying that the 4KP is still my number one home arcade product for the past couple of years.
Yeah.
The product itself is banging. It's just ran by a shit company. And that's the issue that you have to deal with, man. If they would just let go of all the handcuffs that they keep putting on it, it would be a fantastic thing, man. There'd be no reason not to buy it other than price, really.
Yeah. There's so
it
many
is a little
things
outside that price range. Yeah.
And that's the problem. Like, you got to remember that the vast majority of their customers, betting, are in some kind of technology position and career, right? And so it confounds things with how many mistakes they make around that stuff.
Yeah.
That it's just like, again, you never know what's going on behind the scenes and what they're doing, who they're working with. But it's just, some of these things are self-inflicted wounds, and it just gets really, really frustrating because the people who pay for it are us.
Consumers. Right? That's the frustrating thing. But like in a perfect world, man, I like, even if they don't make stuff I want, I want to see, Basic Fun be successful. I'd love to see Arcade 1-Up come back. Like, even though they have announced stuff that I'm not going to buy this year, I was excited to see them, release some cabs. We had no expectations. Then Mossy Oak came out, Terminator 2. I have no intention of buying either of these cabs, and I'll be roasted, and people will say, "Oh, you're shilling it." But like, I'm legitimately excited because it seems like they're doing something again. I'm happy for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, our brother.
I should be on the end because I'm the decline stage. I'm where you go before you die.
Yeah, you got that nice head of hair. I know. Yeah, see, really is. Oh, that's hilarious. All these companies being successful is good for all of us because they'll fight to make better shit, make more shit, and get us what we actually want. That's why it's so frustrating when people are trying to pick sides and do some of this shit. I don't know what motivates it. I know a lot of people are being empathetic to because of other people, like experiences other people have had. And that's totally fair. Like, I get that. But just because you don't like a particular company or a particular person, like, why does everybody else have to not like what those people are doing? And that's one of the biggest frustrating
Yeah,
things
and
right now.
you
But
know
people like what they want.
you know my opinion on this. Everybody's
Yeah.
free to say whatever they want and do whatever they want. I don't have to pay attention to it. Like
Yeah.
that's the reality. I don't pay attention to it. I don't give a shit. Like unless other people tell me, I don't care because I have no time for it at all. Anybody can say whatever they want. It's just what I would ask people to do is maybe just have a little bit of kindness. Like if you don't like somebody, and absolutely, you can do your own shows. You can say this person's a piece of shit, come up with all these conspiracy theories and lies about them. That's fine. But like, just try to be a good person. Like, don't like write them and get crazy with them and like try to start fights. Like, do your own thing. We don't have to listen. You can say whatever you want, but just don't engage. And like anything outside of YouTube, don't ever do that. Like, I know stories of like the individual that you were talking about, like trying to submarine buy stuff store and like go up to Atari and try to get them in legal trouble. I know other people do this stuff, like reaching out. Smash JT has had his wife like harassed and like by this one Alyssa McConte. Like that stuff is too far. Like if you don't
Yeah.
like someone, just don't watch. You can go do your own stuff, but like at least try to be civil. Don't watch. Like you don't like someone, just don't watch them. It's that simple. You can go do your own thing. Watch the people that have the same mindset, but like these people get their rocks off on creating like fake like accounts and coming into your streams and like saying shit to you just to try to get your goat. Don't do that. Do your own thing. Go have your group, get together, talk your shit, have your own good life. Everybody else is fine doing their own thing. Like we don't need you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very much the same way. I do think there's a line that some people can cross, but like, I there are some people that just make drama to make drama, and that's fine. Like that's their content. That's what they want to do. Some of that doesn't bother me. You want to criticize various companies, people, some of that fair game. You know, YouTubers on YouTube, criticize them however you want. Get your views however you want. It's when they cross the line into the personal stuff that is very weird and bizarre to me. And, so I try to treat most of that stuff with humor, hence the whole thing tonight. Like, right, it's just meant to be funny. Like, I'm not offended by the content people like that are making. I find it, whatever, have at it. Like, I don't really care, and so my thing is to just, come back comically if I'm going to come back at all, because it's just like, to me, it's just part of the yin and the yang, the give and the take or whatever. But there are people that are crossing lines that really, really bother me that I try to be quiet about because it's strange. But that's one thing.
There's too much vitriol and hate. And
Yeah.
like it's like people are looking to find reasons to be angry and mad at certain people. Like it's just like this like mind hive mentality. They're just like watching and they're like, you know what, I really don't like that guy. Oh, that guy over there said something bad about him. I'm gonna subscribe to everything he does now from now on.
Yeah, there's some weird behavior, and I think it's perfectly all right that anybody doesn't like any particular person. I don't care.
No,
Right? Like you are free
my
to
wife
like
doesn't
or
even like
dislike
me.
anybody.
Like, Jesus.
But at some point you got to wonder where people are when they can't just stop being consumed by that hate.
Yeah.
It is very strange. But
Yeah.
you know,
It's perfect
all
example.
Right.
Cornercade's here in the chat. A lot of people have a lot of problems with Cornercade, and like they take it out on them. But here's what I do: I just stopped watching them. I don't watch them. That's all you have to do. Just go on with your life.
You can choose to block people. You can choose to talk to people. It's completely your choice. But whatever, man. Like, just stop with the hate stuff, man. It's just dumb.
Yeah. But
And if you're
Anyway,
gonna hate anybody, hate P-Dubs. He deserves it.
you guys probably taking a nap right now. Yeah, so
Brian,
I'm missing
Bri-
the kickoff of the NFL season right
oh,
now, right?
I
It's
watched
gonna
it.
be almost
A wild start. I actually I don't have cable. I canceled cable back when I was selling cabs and stuff like that. We were trying to cut down on our bills and stuff like that. So I cut cable, and I haven't watched sports for like a year. But the NFL was starting tonight, so I made some changes. I dropped Shutter, which I hate it. I hate dropping Shutter. But at the same time, like I'm really struggling to find anything on Shutter that I'm really that interested
Yeah.
in. Like Shutter is not what Shutter was a couple of years ago. So I dropped Shutter. I dropped Sirius Satellite Radio, where I got the new car today. So I went back in and I found out we were spending $22 to get this. It's Crave. It's like basically how we watch HBO here in Canada. It's just this other thing. So we were spending $22 on that. Or I could get this TSN subscription, which is the sports network here in Canada, get access to all the sports on that app, plus their TSN Plus app, plus the same Crave subscription we were paying $22 for $32. I was like, that's a no-brainer. So anyways, I watched the start. Amazing start. Philadelphia's best defensive player does the stupidest penalty in history, spits on Dak Prescott. Cowboys run down, score a touchdown. Awesome start to the season.
So I remember, I'm a Broncos fan, so I remember fondly a spitting incident with Bill Romanowski, back in the 98 run where we were almost undefeated, He was a character back then, but so the spitting, that's close to my heart. I'll have to go watch the replays. But yeah, I feel you on all the streaming service. I got rid of cable a long time ago. And
so worthless.
Definitely the NFL makes it a challenge because like a lot of the games are on Fox, and Fox is like the only network that doesn't actually stream like their programming.
Right.
Like I can get, what is CBS's, whatever the hell it's called, Paramount Plus or whatever, and you can get CBS to watch those. You can get Peacock and watch those games. You can watch them on Amazon. You can watch them now on YouTube tomorrow, which by the way is kind of bullshit because they're letting some streamers stream the NFL game, the Chiefs game tomorrow and comment on it, but not everybody can do it. I think we should all be able to do it because I would love to trash the Chiefs for 3 hours on YouTube. But
can you read that last comment there from MG?
James loves Fox. Fox, the local network, MG. It's owned by ABC. So, it's not Fox News. Different network.
One of my favorite things. I love 19K Fox, right? So when we were in Chicago for Pinball Expo, every single night he would stop everything he's doing and listen to this, right-wing podcast, right? So anyways, I love picking him about this because he's one of there's a bunch of people out there, and I'm sorry guys if you're one of these people, but I'm gonna make fun of it a little bit, that they don't believe that the news is the news. And I agree. I mean, news should be nonpartisan. Like the news should be the news. There should be no political opinions from a network. Like you can have analysts on that have a point, opinions. If you're having a debate,
editorialists, right? They can have opinions, but the news should be the fact.
The news, by definition, should be nonpartisan, but it's not. So I understand the concern some people have, but then to turn from professional news and broadcasters to some raging lunatic in a cabin out in the middle of the woods like G.I. Joel and say that's the real news. I find it fascinating.
Yeah, most of those are obviously a lot of more opinion shows too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is interesting because I watch a few of those or at least used to. I don't really do it anymore, honestly. But of different people on different sides of the issues and stuff. And it's always interesting because when they talk about news, they talk about a real source, right? So it's not like they have investigative journalists that are going out and getting news. They're reading the newspaper and watching the news shows and then just talking about it. So it's always interesting because they're never really a source of news like alternative media. There are a few people that go out and get on the ground and go to various protests and try to get stories, but they're few and far between. They're not the big popular channels. Those are all editorial programming that, so as I say with everybody, you need to consume things from all over so you can figure out what is real and what isn't, because everybody is telling you something from their side, even in home arcade, right? Like
which is what the show started on.
Yeah, exactly. So but it is funny. I'm still pissed though that YouTube is going to show this great game tomorrow and let some YouTubers stream it, and the rest of us can't.
What are you talking about?
So tomorrow, the Kansas City versus the LA Chargers is on YouTube for free. You can watch it on YouTube, and they've partnered with a bunch of creators, so you can watch along with quote unquote your favorite creator and watch the game with them, and they'll comment and talk through the whole thing. But it's not open to all creators. It was just open to a hand-picked, 20, 25 people or whatever. So you can guess it's all the big guys, right? But
Brian,
it would have been cool to let us all do it. Like it would have been fun.
James didn't know the game was rigged. He didn't know YouTube's a farce. He didn't understand that. Like none of us are set up to succeed. Like we are fighting against an algorithm. We are fighting against promotions. It's literally set up that it's a needle in a haystack for you to be successful. The only thing that you can do is, and I'm not good at this because I'm a fat old guy. I'm not overly good looking. I'm not that interesting. So I'm never going to be successful, but you just have to be talented. You have to be consistent, and you have to just keep pushing, and you will get your stuff through. There's people that I know, like my buddy, My Retro Life. He's Tyler. He does that show about his dad and the home movies and stuff like that.
Yep.
Like this dude had a YouTube channel that was like 70,000 subscribers. Deleted it, started over again, and has built it into, I think he's like 100,000 subscribers now.
Huge.
So, but he obviously has a background. He does very good editing. It's very good production quality. Same with Pixel Game Squad. I mean, Pixel Game Squad, huge channel, 60, 70,000 subscribers. They shut it down. Something happened with Riff, who I'm going to go by his fake name Riff. And, he shut down the channel. Then he got a job with Superhero Game Squad. And then as an offshoot, got to start his old channel back up called, I forget what the name of it was. It was the NES Pursuit. Yeah. So he got to start that up again with his buddy Ricky. And now they're huge again. But this stuff happens, and they didn't get huge channels again just because they were lucky. Huge channels again because they had a formula. They had a way of doing it. They figured out how, they have high quality content that's engaging, and they push through. So
they also had something most of us also don't, right? Because I'm
giant penises.
Giant
penises.
But they live in a location that has access to a couple specific and one in particular swap meet, flea market, whatever you want to call it, that literally is like the mecca of flea markets in the entire world.
They're in California,
you walk in and they find huge stuff. And they've been doing it for so long that they know all the dealers there. And so some of them, like one of them is one of the Storage Wars guys, right? So they have built relationships with all these people where they'll now save the banger stuff. So when they go in, so it's been great for them, but it was the grind. It was going at it, doing it, and having the Riff's personality, right? And his editing skills. The guy's pretty damn talented. He edits several big channels in addition to running his own YouTube. He does Retro Rick's channel and Phoenix Resale.
Oh, does he really? I didn't know that. Yeah, I had no idea. I actually I have a video still on my old PC, and I still have the video he made for me. I did a big collaboration. This was when he was just starting out, and he actually sings my name as like Michael B the Game Genie. I'll have to share that with you if I can find it.
Have you seen him recently? He's like dyed his hair like
I
bleach
saw
blonde.
that. I
It's
saw
pretty
that.
funny.
There was a time back when I was doing the NES stuff, like I loved it, but we used to do Skype chats, and like I was so starstruck. Like I would just sit there and I was so nervous I wouldn't say anything. But like you're in a room with like Billy from the Game Chasers is there, Riff, RGT 85, all these other people there. You're in the Skype chat, you're just like my heroes. And they're just like, who's this fucking weird guy?
I mean, that's kind of how some people in the home arcade, community kind of feel about, especially YouTubers starting out and everything. It's kind of how they feel about you, Mike, and P-Dubs. It's like I'm hanging out with my heroes, or somebody that you're the reason like we started doing what we
aim higher.
I know, right? Back to the point that y'all were saying earlier about doing this a long time, and YouTube is all about crushing the little guy. I've been on YouTube for 14 years and I've been making videos for 14 years. I used to be a Let's Play channel.
Yeah.
I just didn't have talent. I didn't know how to talk. I didn't know how to look at the camera and talk and be funny or be informative. I just sucked. I just was a fat turd that looked into a camera playing shitty games. And
is that all you did? You just looked in the camera?
Yeah. I was just uninteresting. Like literally, like my sub count starting out was like 19, and I didn't get to like number 21 until I got into the home arcade community. So it's like 14 years, man, just doing that. You're totally right. You have to know people in a way too. Like YouTube used to always say, like, find people to collaborate with, find people who are like you that you can work with.
Oh yeah.
I found nobody that was even remotely interested in talking to me or hanging out with me and stuff.
I got a funny story for you. Like I've been given lots of really cool opportunities. Like a couple of years ago, I got back into making YouTube videos, and I was doing it for the wrong reasons. And this was we had to kick our tenant out of our apartment, and all of a sudden we were going to lose like $750 a month we were getting for the apartment. So I said to my wife, I was like, I will go back on YouTube. I will bust my ass. And I made like all these videos, and I did some videos really well, but I was doing it for the wrong reason. I was literally trying to make money from it. So that was the point where I got really disenfranchised with YouTube, and I kind of quit. And then I got excited about home arcade, and I came back, and I used to tell everybody I'm a retired YouTuber, and they get mad at me, and they'd be like, this guy's so full of shit. He makes all these videos, blah, blah, blah. What they don't understand was I'm retired from trying to be something.
Right.
I did that. And I was doing it for the wrong reasons, and it made me hate doing it. Then all of a sudden home arcade came out, and I was talking about all the stupid stuff, and there's a great community, all kinds of fun people to talk to. I was like, I'm not doing this because it's a job. I just don't give a shit. Like, honestly, I release news videos now that sometimes get 400 views. If this was Mike from back at that time period, I used to flip out if my video didn't get, like, I would be like, that's it. I'm not making any more videos if my video only got like 5,000 views. Now, I don't give a shit. I don't make videos on anything now.
I was happy to get 20 views.
Yeah.
It's like I remember where I was going, but I was just like basically doing Let's Plays early on in my career or YouTube career, or whatever, honestly made me hate games, like hate playing games.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah.
For a while there, I was just like, man, I don't want to play a video game anymore. And I just started focusing on my job. It's when I got into the home arcade community where I was just like, I remember playing that arcade game and, at somewhere local. I can buy that for the house. That's when I was like, I love retro games. I can talk about this all day long. This is the kind of stuff that I'll never get tired of. And it's still true today. Like now I'm falling in love with pinball, and I'm like, pinball's been around forever. That's something new to fall in love with, but it's also old for some other people. It's been forever, around forever, but it's new to me. And all this other stuff, all these other arcade games that's been around since like the 80s and 90s, 70s, that I've never played, but then I found when I played them, I enjoyed them. So it's new to me, but old to somebody else. Now I have something to connect to people with. Awkward silence.
No,
Yeah, I was just
I'm
reading
allowing
what
James.
Israel.
It's his show. I'm trying not
I
to
was
take
reading it
over.
to
Whichever
myself.
happens.
But no, there's a lot of good comments in there, right? About people talking about different YouTubers. And obviously, like, it's interesting to me. Like, one of the reasons obviously, um, I had interest in doing YouTube a while back, like during COVID, but I was like, oh, I'm going to do it on like tech stuff because that's what I know. I like buying gadgets. And I did 2 videos and I was like, yeah, this sucks. Like, it's not as fun as I thought it was going to be.
It's a
And
lot of work when you try to
it,
do something like really professional, right?
yeah. And I literally only did 2 videos and I was like, it's not what I wanted. Right. I wanted to be really good. I had this picture in my head and then got distracted with other things in life. And it wasn't until you guys and watching you guys that motivated me to get back into it. But part of that is, I consume a lot of like how to be good on YouTube and how to grow your audience and all that shit. And most of it is just like it's all the same shit. Like I've now been looking at that stuff for a long time. They all say the same like 5, 6 things. And the reality is you just have to um there's niches, have certain things, right? Like you're only going to be able to grow so big in this audience, but that's not a bad thing, right? We have a more close-knit audience than I've seen on other channels, right? Everybody knows everybody, even in the chat. Like we know the same names. They show up on different shows. We all talk. If we go to a convention and they show up, we all will hang out. It's not like,
Oh, yeah.
like, oh, thanks, bye, see ya. It's like, no, come, let's all hang out and do shit because it's just a different atmosphere than what
Yeah,
other areas have
and
going
if
on.
you're
And I
really
still
nice,
nerd out when I meet you guys in
oh,
in person.
and if you're a really nice person, I will invite you to come back to the Verbo, even though we're not supposed to have any guests. And I didn't ask B Kong, and then everybody shows up, and B Kong flips the fuck out.
Yes, and you'll let us bum cigarettes from you.
That's true. That's true. And like I think most of us are here for the right reasons. We just want to have fun, and we do have fun. And if people are like, "Well, how come we're not included?" I don't know if that has anything to do with us so much as maybe ask yourself, like, do you engage? Do you reach out? Like, do you want to be part? Like, that's the thing. And then other people are like, oh, well, they're bad people. But like most of the people that like I intentionally avoid are assholes that do asshole things. I'm sorry, but like,
That talk shit about other people.
yeah.
Yep. I mean, that's not to go backwards on some of that stuff, but that's absolutely right. There's not really a person in this community I wouldn't go play games with or hang out with, except for the ones that just can't be civil or polite to anybody, right? They
Yeah.
just get so bent out of shape. And like, why would I want to hang out with you when you're miserable? Just like in like the 5 seconds you've been commenting on this person's stream or that, it's very weird.
Here's a good piece of advice. Be like Brooklyn. Brooklyn's like the nicest guy in the world.
yeah.
Like Brooklyn is so even keeled about anything, just does his thing, doesn't take any shit from anybody.
Yeah. And Brooklyn would like now I don't know if he'll take a bullet for me or for anybody legit, but he's such a nice guy that he'll defend you if somebody says shit about you. Hands down.
One of the nicest people out there, right? Just does his thing, plays more games than anybody I've ever met. It just loves gaming and loves sharing it with people, and he'll talk to anybody or play with anybody. It's awesome.
That's really kind of what that's kind of what we all really want to do. Some of us might have different opinions, but opinions aren't facts. They're opinions. Opinions can't be wrong. They're opinions. You're allowed to have your opinion. If someone disagrees, they're not right. They just have a different opinion.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, like I'm pretty vocal that I hate the ALU, but I know
Oh,
lots
you're
of people
wrong on that one.
absolutely love it. Like, I know people love it, and I
You're not
could be
wrong. You're
but
not
I
wrong.
do not like it. I think it's
You
ugly and
It's not
wrong
for you.
screen size, but I know tons of people in this community really like it. So it's okay. We can
So
dislike
going back to
like
the
it.
arcade eras, I think we verified here tonight that nobody was wrong. It was just
Yeah.
different opinions. See?
Yep.
Tie it all together with a nice little bow.
Now, what would make the stream complete is if everybody was wearing an Into the AM shirt, James.
This was sent to
I
me.
don't have one of those.
And
I have
I
an
bought
Atari
this from
shirt
your
on.
store.
I have the exact same one. So yeah, I love Into the AM, by the way, because like I'm a big dude and their shirts are really comfortable, really fit well for that. So they reached out to me this time. Like last time they wanted me to do this big paid promotion. This time it wasn't even a paid promotion. They just reached out to me and they were like, "Hey, you want to do something else with us?" And I was like, "Sure." And like they sent me just like 3 random shirts. And anyways, like I'm happy to get them all the time. Like they're really cool. They have cool designs. Some of them glow in the dark. This time they just gave me like the business shirt with the little logo on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, another thing I wanted to say, and I just want to be clear about this. I think really what this home arcade community really needs to focus on, just be kind, kindness. And maybe kindness is the new punk rock.
Okay,
Slap
Clark.
that shit on a t-shirt.
Everything is the new punk rock. Oh man! By the way, I made it halfway through the new Naked Gun last night before I fell asleep. Oh my god, is it fucking funny?
I know.
It is great.
I gotta watch it. I gotta watch it. So
Is it on a network for streaming, or did you?
Yes,
Yes,
an illegal network.
absolutely.
An illegal network.
Absolutely. On Amazon Prime.
You can buy
literally
it.
watch it on Prime if you pay $20.
You can buy
Okay.
it, or if you have
Yeah.
friends that maybe act on the other side of the law, you can watch it on a Plex server. So it's always exciting when these shows show up for streaming finally, like to buy to stream, because you know you're getting really good versions of the Plex servers. So Nobody 2 and Naked Gun both hit like a couple days ago, and they're so high on my list. I gotta watch them, so I gotta get to that at some point.
Yeah, and both are available on Amazon for your very, very expensive in theaters and at home rental cost.
Well, James, I will save you some time because you mentioned The Jester to me the other day. I said, I'm
don't
going to watch
it,
that.
so.
Do not watch it. The Jester is the shits. Like, it's terrible. It's terrible. And then I watched a What Culture horror top 10 video on sequels that are coming out, and they're like, The Jester 2 is coming out, even though the first movie is terrible. It was panned by critics. It sucked. Don't watch The Jester.
See, I hadn't heard of it until I saw the preview for Jester 2, and I was like, oh, it must be good. It's got a sequel.
No.
Dude,
No,
even the serial killing Winnie the Pooh movie got a sequel, and it was terrible.
I heard the sequel was actually better than the original. Blood
I bet
and Honey
it was too.
Yeah. But the other one I told you about, I actually reached out to my Plex guy because I noticed it wasn't on there, and I was like, "Can you take a look to see if Diced Reloaded is available?" And he said, "Download now. You'll have it in 5 minutes." So I get to watch Diced Reloaded soon.
I need
Nice.
these friends.
Ichabod's in the house. I'm only here because Jackass Jerry Jones brought too many clouds to the Eagles.
Yeah, so Saiyan Spirits, what's happening right now is a lot of these licenses are hitting public domain. So what people are doing is they're scooping them up and making like horror movies, cash-ins on them. And the funny thing is most of them are terrible, but some have actually been really good. I heard good things about Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, apparently, is actually not terrible.
Steamboat.
There's also
Steamboat Willie, Bambi.
Screamboat Willie.
Steamboat Willie horror game looks amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm interested when that one comes out.
Yeah.
But all fun shit.
I really like horror movies. So like if I'm not available for golf some night, or if I'm not on Twitter or Discord, I'm usually watching a horror movie, and it's usually really bad. It's not good. I've been in the Temu library recently. Oh, is it Temu? No, it's not Temu. It's what is it? Tubi horror movies.
yeah,
I've been going through
Tubi.
those. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
actually a good idea. We need a
Ichabod
horror movie
brought
about Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah. Ichabod brought up weapons, and I saw that this last weekend. It's an interesting one. I wouldn't say it's the best movie ever, but it's definitely not bad. So
What about that? What about, is it not James Franco? It's his little brother. That movie.
Oh, the body horror one with his wife. I saw her boobs when she was in that movie, that show where she wrestled. I saw her boobs.
Oh, was she in? No,
She was in Glow. She was in Glow. Allison Brie, also from Community.
Oh yeah.
And I saw her
from
boobs.
Community, Yeah.
Together.
Yeah,
That's the name
I
of the
thought
movie.
you were talking about Florence Pugh, right? She was in that wrestling biopic.
Oh no, I
WWE
don't want to see Florence Pugh's boobs. You know who else's boobs I've found recently? Did you ever watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
Yes, with the show or the original movie?
The show. We don't
Yeah.
talk about the movie. So remember that kind of like 90s stereotypical like bimbo girl that used to hang around with Spike?
I was never a fan of the show. I know of
Oh,
it,
you guys
and
suck. You guys
I've
suck.
met like James Marsters because we had him here for Planet Comic Con when I was involved with that. But the Chris Jackson, the guy that runs Planet Comic Con in Kansas City, is a huge Buffy fan. So
Yeah.
But I never watched it. But you're probably interested, right? They're doing the Buffy movie and like a sequel movie with all the cast and everything as an actual film.
My wife's the biggest Buffy fan in the world. That's why. Like not Charisma Carpenter. Oh, she played anyways, I watched the series about what was it? Kane Hodder came back and he played this like fake Jason type character. Anyways, the chick from Buffy was in it, and I can't remember her name, like the one that played the really ditzy female vampire that was with Spike. And anyways, you see her boobs, and then she retired. Drusilla, thank you, Jason. No, I don't think it was Drusilla. Hold on.
It wasn't the one that just recently like died, right? One of the cast. Didn't she just recently like suddenly pass away?
Jeez, I hope not.
Was it Liza Discu?
No.
She's awesome though.
She is awesome, but she quit acting, eh?
What was the was it
Amber Benson?
True? What was the name of the Fox show that she had? It was awesome.
I can't remember. Hold on here now. Let's see if I can find this. No, I don't think that's the one. Anyways, I can't remember her name now. Anyways, Hatchet. The Hatchet series was actually really good. Really good. Michelle Trachtenberg is the one who died. I'm trying to find this one. I think she's Canadian.
Were you the one telling me, or maybe it was Jason, that they're doing Thanksgiving sequel?
They are. I don't know how they're going to do that.
Yeah, it's going to be hard.
It's kind of like the Black Phone sequel. Like, what are you doing? How are they doing this?
And that I didn't know they were doing. The Black Phone sequel. That's hilarious. MG mentioned Dollhouse. That was a pretty good show. A lot of Josh Whedon, I think, right, was the one that directed that and True Calling, and a lot of big people came out of those.
Well, anyways, I can't remember, but watch Hatchet. There's boobs.
Excellent. Well, we've gone like two hours, so and gone on all kinds of different topics. So, any final thoughts from you guys?
Hold on here now, Mike. Darla Buffy.
He's stuck in it now.
He's gonna find it.
Not Darla. No, not Darla from Buffy. Hold on.
Julie Benz played Darla.
Yeah, not her.
What about Anya?
Only
Emma
watch the
Caulfield
uncut
Ford?
version.
Nope, not Anya.
Just gonna have to go through all the cast on.
This is killing me, man. It wasn't
Sarah
Drusilla.
McClay, Amber Benson.
Chris says Martin
Harmony.
Landau's
Harmony.
daughter,
Harmony.
Juliet Landau.
Yeah, Mercedes McNabb. That's her actor name. She's
Fabio?
Canadian. Hold on. Anyways, look her up if you get a chance.
15 episodes. Wow. And you recognize her from that, huh? Oh, okay. Yeah, she looks ditzy.
Appreciate the Super There Theme Park 365.
Good God, the cheekbones.
Yeah, wish
Oh,
I
she was
could
in Hatchet 1 and
live in a
2.
theme
Okay.
park all day, every day.
So is that what you're talking about, Michael B? She was in Hatchet 1 and 2?
I was very excited because she was a Buffy star. And then I ran out the room and I was like, hey, Lara, I just saw her boobs.
You know what's funny? Do you remember the blonde girl from Addams Family Values at the camp?
No, but that's her.
Yeah, that's her.
Yeah, that's her. And you know what? I saw her boobs in Hatchet.
That's hilarious. So you guys got anything big coming up? I know you got a show tomorrow night. Yes, Mike?
Yeah, I think we're gonna do Super Game Room Dudes. Like it's so weird and hard nowadays because we don't know. Carl's busy, Restel just got stuff going on. So yeah, I will push the guys to try to do a show. So I think we'll do one. Other than that, I don't know. Like I've been really busy this week. I've been, as the kids say, touching grass. I've been trying to do other stuff. Like I got my new vehicle today. That was a ton of work. And then after I got it, like it was just stupid fun time. Like we had a very warm, nice day here for September. And I took the top off and like we drove around as a family. We picked my wife up from work. She put on stupid songs like you hear this K-pop Demon Hunters. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yes, it's pretty popular.
No so
why.
she put on this golden song from that show, and then she put on spooky skeletons. And that like the kids were in the back. They were fascinated that the Jeep didn't have a roof, and like they were dancing. Then we went to Starbucks and I got a pumpkin spice latte. And we drove around a little more, and then we had McDonald's for supper. Just like had a great family day. So I've got like nothing done with YouTube at all.
On the other hand, Brian has been live streaming like every day this week. So you carrying it forward into tomorrow?
I need to start doing some video editing. That to me, that's the worst part about YouTube is video editing.
Oh,
I like it sometimes. I like it. Sometimes it takes so long. That's the hard part. And like back before I had kids, it was awesome. Like you shoot all this stuff, you plan it out in your head how everything's gonna go. You write a script, and like it was like all this piece of a puzzle that came together. And then like being able to somehow pull off the magic of putting the right scenes with the right parts. I used to love it. And like, especially back when I first started doing YouTube, like experimenting, I did these stupid videos that never did well, and they could never get monetized because like it was basically riffs on horror movies. So I would use assets that would 100% get me demonetized. But I used to put so much work into them. Like I did this one where I did this Friday Nightmare on Elm Street themed Halloween video. And I spent the better part of a day figuring out, I don't know if you've ever watched Freddy's Dead, A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 6.
Oh, yeah.
But they do this really cool intro where like each letter comes down with a whoosh, 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 to do the intro for Freddy's Dead. I taught myself how to do that in the run of a day so I could recreate that intro. Like I used to love doing stuff like that. I just don't have time anymore.
Yeah, I remember doing all that shit back in the day when we would do Twitch a lot, like me and a bunch of friends. We'd spend all this time trying to figure out how to make stuff in After Effects and things like that to do all this fancy shit.
And it's so cool,
but something that lasts like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And it would be like, then you're like, I want to do it again, but I don't remember how. So I have to go back and redo the whole thing again.
Oh, and doing like stupid stuff like back when I had freedom, like when my wife was in law school and I was like totally alone. Like I came up with an idea one day and I was like, I need to go to a cabin and light a fire because I'm making a video about Friday the 13th. So I drove for like an hour to my cabin to get a scene of me lighting a fire and driving my Jeep into a cabin. Then drove an hour back home for YouTube. You can't do that when you have kids and responsibilities, you know?
Yeah, people give me shit on how much I like AI, but I can pull that stuff off now in AI. Like I can go through and like if I have a shot in my head, I can run it through AI over and over until I get it the way I want it, you know. And so, you know, in some things it helps, and in others it's probably not so helpful. I get that, but I love that stuff.
I'm gonna extend the show a little bit more, Brian. I hope you didn't have any plans. So, anyways, James. So this is actually a really great point to talk about AI and the problem with AI and why people don't like it. It's very similar to back in movies and stuff like that when there was the argument about practical effects compared to digital effects. We're going through the exact same thing. You know, what's more important here? Like, is it that we have the integrity of the art and the process, or can they just do it through AI? What do you want to see more? And doesn't really matter, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very much the same thing, right? I saw a comment on Instagram the other day of somebody at I don't remember what convention it was, but it was like one of the retro conventions like a week or two ago. And they were bragging that they got one of the artists kicked out of the convention, like because they were selling quote unquote AI slop, right? Like that's what a lot of people call AI art that they don't like. And it's just interesting to watch the people that like fall on one side or the other. You know, I view it obviously I'm going to be more pro AI than maybe some other people are, but I look at it as just another tool, right? It's like you're worried about. I get that there's some concern over copyright stuff, but you know, it's a lot of art is copying. That's what people do. Like that's how they develop their own style is by emulating others. Like, you know, there's a saying in the art world, like good artists copy, great artists steal. Right.
Yeah.
So like you can't come to me and say like, oh, because somebody's using AI, they just don't have any talent. It still takes skill to get something very good out. It's just another tool. It's no different than the people that say people that use DJs, that's DJ equipment's not an instrument. Like it takes real talent to mix songs and create your own full mixes and everything else like that.
So there's a comment there from Saying Spirits. And I usually agree with Saying Spirits, but I do want to just talk about this. Digital effects isn't going to be responsible for putting people out of jobs, though. They did. They did. Literally, the thousands of movies said, yeah, instead of doing practical effects because they're so time consuming, we're just going to. The only thing that slowed it down is digital effects were so fucking expensive at first. Going back to Buffy, used to cost like $10,000, or it was some kind of crazy number.
Oh, yeah.
Every time they did the digital transformation into a vampire. So like the only thing that slowed down digital effects replacing practical effects, the only thing was how much it cost initially. But when it became more inexpensive, so many practical effects people lost their jobs.
Oh yeah.
I mean, look at the Mummy movie where they took The Rock and turned him into the Scorpion King in that battle that he had with
that should have been practical effects, and they should have spent more money.
Practical effects.
Yeah,
and there's actually a decent show on Disney Plus, surprise it or not, that is about Lucasfilm, right? And it's the Skywalker sound and Industrial Light and Magic, and it takes you through that era. Like, you know, talks heavily about the stuff they did on Star Wars, and it goes all the way through to like today, basically. And so when you get into the period where they were changing into digital effects and practical, and you know, basically the Jurassic Park era where they started Jurassic Park as we're going to do all practical effects. And then they're like, well, look what we can do. And they're like, oh, crap, like, let's mix it together. And the people that understood that was the future took their time. The sculptors that were sculpting the practical effects said, I need to learn this stuff because that's going to be the future, are still there flourishing today, making all kinds of digital effects. Or they went off and started what is now Pixar and things like that. They recognize the opportunity, and instead of just digging in and saying, this technology sucks, the only thing that matters is, carving sculptures and, stop motion animation. Like they recognize that. And at the same time, there's over the top, because I still firmly believe the reason that Star Wars and these things were so good was the practical effects. Horror movies of the 80s, it's the practical effects that made them so good. So there's a mixture. Some things you can't do, some things you can, and it's a mix. You got to mix it to get the best result.
Yeah, like I'll give you a really good example. Like, the Screenwriters Guild went on strike because they're worried about the advancements of AI. I think they got to learn how to use it. One of my favorite authors is Stephen King, and what a lot of people don't know is Stephen King probably hasn't wrote a book in about 10 years. So what Stephen King did is he wrote a bunch of books, got a ton of stories written and just left in a chest. And every now and then he'll pull one of those out and he'll say, I'm going to make this book now. But the problem is it's so outdated for technology and stuff like that. So he hires somebody to come in and do the research and change the stuff. So, in the book, someone goes, I got a notice on my pager. So that person goes in and goes, my iPhone beeped. That's the kind of stuff they're doing.
Right.
That is 100% how authors can use AI. There's ways to do it. Like, obviously, we don't want to get to a point where AI is writing full books because everything will be the fucking same. But authors can use certain elements about AI to speed up their process. Maybe George R. Martin can finally finish the fucking Song of Fire and Ice if he uses a little bit of AI to help him.
Say that. My favorite AI YouTuber, Matt Wolf, he's Mr. E-Flow on, Wolf Backwards on YouTube. He recently did like a how to write a full novel in AI, and he wrote he wrote.
Nope, James froze. Stream's over.
This is how James should be from now on. Remember you talked about earlier? I just play games and look at the camera. James should just turn on his show and go, just stay like that the whole time, looking at the camera. I don't know what we do here. What's the
etiquette? I took him out. There you go, MG.
James was AI. That's what it was. Yeah. What's the etiquette here? If we're stuck and James is frozen, does the show keep going? Like, what happens?
It does, because I can't end it. Can you end it? No.
James was AI the 100 times. $1 million.
The claw.
Yeah, I don't know what to do here now. There he goes. It's just us. James so
when he
gone.
comes back in, he'll probably end the stream. So
James needs to recharge. James needs his sloppy seconds, because when he asked me to do this, he assumed it'd be an hour stream, but he doesn't understand that I really like getting on here and talking to all you guys and being an idiot.
Yeah, I'm just glad to be here. So either way, James says his computer locked up, is restarting. So that's not gonna work, man.
So Brian, why are those 3 new pinball games so hard? It's so difficult. I really struggled last night. I know it's because I just don't know what I'm doing. But like, man, oh man, like Whitewater's incredible. Whitewater, incredible. But like, I cannot figure that out. That is totally a Twitch reaction flipper game. Like, you can't, just stop the ball and do what you want, or at least I couldn't.
Yeah, you got to figure out its quirks. Once you figure out its quirks, then you got to figure out what ramps to hit and where is it going to get you the most points. And it's all about getting to the upper play field and hitting those what they call white waters ramps. Once you hit those, and you're able to advance your rafts, and the higher that you get on the advancements of rafts, the more story you complete. That's where all the points are. Hurricane's the hardest one for me.
It's brutal.
Yeah,
It's fucking brutal.
Hurricane sucks when it comes to cradling the ball to control it.
Yeah.
No pun intended. So
All right. So can you guys actually hear me?
yeah.
All right. My computer just locked up. I don't know what the hell happened. But anyway, you guys got the gist. He made the sequel.
Can we call it a night now, James? I was going to watch football at some point. Conveniently, we had this, lightning storm, which put the game on pause for me. Like everything's been coming up Bury today. Oh my God, I said my last name.
Oh no. I'm going to have to message you and let you know. All right. So I appreciate everybody being here. Make sure if Super Game Room Dudes comes on tomorrow that you guys actually watch it, which we know you will. So
come on, Super Game Room Dudes. Give us shit.
Yeah.
Have fun with us. And, we'll try to do the best we can to entertain ourselves while entertaining you.
And with any luck, the post office will find my art for the G.I. Joe cab, which has been lost in postal service
sucks.
hell. Yeah, it Tuesday. It was in my town at my post office, said it was going to be delivered that day. I'm like, great. And then it didn't get delivered. I look, and then they shipped it back to the regional office where it has now been for 48 hours. Was supposed to be delivered today by 9:00, and now it's nowhere. So it's just gone into the ether. So
you'll get it within 3 days.
Yeah, so it's really
mystery encoder. This is a special message for you. I have modded cabinets. I modded my original Centipede to put Glenn's trackball in there. Modded my Star Wars to put Glenn's flight yoke in there. I modded my Big Buck Hunter because I bought the Retro 530 light up marquee, which I thought was incredible. I modded my Pac-Man Pac-Mania cab to put a better screen in there. Modded 2 of my Arcade 1-Ups XLs to put better screens in there. So I've modded lots of cabs. Ask him more specifically what kind of mod he wants me to see me do.
Well, he's probably wanting an IRK mod. Did you ever
finish
that one?
No, I did not, even though it only takes like 15 seconds. I did not do that one.
All righty. Well, that's all I got. I'm going to spend the weekend at a retro gaming convention. You guys got anything big coming up? I know.
Is this KC Retro, the big one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we're going to go to the cabin this weekend. We went last weekend for 2 days. And just so Bill and MG know, I have a cabin. So while we were at the cabin last week, my son has developed a new hobby that we didn't anticipate called, hey, I'm going to see how many toys I can stuff down the toilet. So our last night there, my wife comes in and goes, the toilet's not flushing. And I said, okay, well, no one touch it. So wake up the next morning and Laura's like, everything's fine. The toilet's working again. And I was like, oh. Then she comes to me like 5 minutes later. She's like, Mike, there's all kinds of water over the floor in the bathroom. I don't know what's happening. I was like, I know what's happening. So my son had jammed a bunch of toys down there, and I'd spent most of the weekend going in there, sticking my hand in there and fishing them out every time he did it. But I guess I missed 1 or 2, and someone else used the washroom with toys in there. So anyways, the toilet is destroyed. So I don't know if we're going to go up to stay up or I'm going up to fix a toilet. We'll see.
Well, that doesn't sound like much fun, but
I just told him, do what I do. Just go pee and poo in the woods. Dig a hole.
Found it interesting to take things out of the trash and put them in the toilet. And so now the trashes there's no trashes in the bathroom, so he can't do it.
Tell him if he poops in the woods, he can make a mushroom field.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, man, like when we were kids and we first started going up, because my cabin is right on my parents' land, like we didn't have running water. We didn't have any of that. Like we went up there when we were building the cabin. I was like, Dad, I gotta use the washroom. And he's like, here's a shovel, go dig a hole and poop in it. Cover it up afterwards.
Nice. All righty. With no final thoughts, we'll just call it a day. I mean, it was only 2 hours and 20 minutes, so it was a longer one. So I appreciate you guys both coming on and hanging out and talking.
This was
nerd.
grand.
Yeah. Always
We didn't
fun.
talk toys. Oh, we could have talked so much longer.
Oh yeah, need to talk toys sometime.
B
So
Kong,
much
B
good
Kong is
stuff
going.
is on its way, man.
B Kong is coming back to YouTube, and he's gonna go back to focusing on toys. I don't know if you know this, but
Excellent.
B Kong has a massive toy
I
collection.
do. He has a great toy collection. A
Oh
lot
my
of
god!
Cross and Transformers and good stuff.
Gundams, right?
Legend
Like,
stuff. Like good
you
stuff.
you think this guy flexes with like his 3 Stern pinball machines? His toy collection is probably worth about 9 times like what he spent on those pinball
Oh
machines.
yeah,
Like it's
he's a big
crazy.
Hasbro Pulse supporter, right? Those things are really expensive.
Yeah, like we were talking to him a couple minutes earlier. He called, just like what happened was we have this chat that everybody likes to call the Illuminati, which we call the Vacation Alliance to piss people off. So, anyways, P Dubs butt dialed us through like the chat. So, anyways, we all jumped on, and then we started talking to B, and B just shows like he cleaned up his toy room today. Then he shows like a random toy, and he's like, "This one only costs $600." I was like, "What are you doing with your life?"
Nice. You could sell the toy collection and retire. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for hanging out. I know a lot of you hung out for the whole time, so really appreciate that. You guys are troopers for over 2 hours. So thanks again, and until next time, have fun.